New Jersey is more than double the rate of sea level rise across the globe. We're at 17.6 inches from 1911 to 2019 here. And this chart shows that we're seeing many more times coastal flooding events in Sandy Hook and Atlantic City now than we did in the 1950s and 60s. I mean, it's a multiple of 6 here, the number of coastal flooding events we're seeing now compared to then. We're seeing more properties at risk of flooding. Now, why is that? It's partially due to climate change. It's partially due to that we just have more people along the beaches. Anywhere where you see those oranges are properties newly exposed to flooding since 1985, and that's the majority of properties that are at risk of frequent flooding or annual flooding. We can break this down by county, and Ocean County and Cape May County in particular have seen huge increases in its number of homes that have been built in flood-prone areas since the mid-1980s here. So we're seeing just generally more properties that would flood if there's a hurricane, 62 to 86,000. Again, part of that's climate change and sea level rise. Part of that is just more people at the shore. And homeowners insurance does not cover flood damage from hurricanes. It's important to know that here. So again, this isn't all climate change. We look at the annual sea level rise since 1960 in Atlantic City, and this can be used for most of the Jersey Shore. That is the dashed black line on this chart. It's running on the lower end of all those color lines you see on the chart, the yellows and the reds and the magentas. That means that we're on the lower end of sea level rise projections here. We're still seeing sea level rise, but we're not seeing it at the higher rates. So what is due to climate change? Well, 40% of it, really, it's due to thermal expansion. In other words, as the water heats up, it expands here. We're seeing melting ice sheets and melting glaciers as our climate warms. But 60% of it is not due to climate change in New Jersey. It's due to land sinking, due to the glaciers we used to have in the northern part of the state, which have retreated a long time ago, but we're still seeing the shifting land from that, and other causes for sinking land, mainly the Kirkwood-Cohansey Aquifer being drained out to use for our drinking water and for our farming, which we need here. But if you're in Ocean, Atlantic, or Cape May counties, we're seeing sinking land as that aquifer, that underground pool of water, does shrink here and narrow. So there's a multitude of reasons for the sea level rise, and then that parlays into the coastal flooding as well. Yes, we're seeing more coastal flooding. Part of it's due to climate change. Part of it isn't, and part of it's due to man-made causes outside of climate change, such as the fact that most of our beach towns are densely populated with homes and sidewalks and roads, and that water just can't go anywhere. We need to build, and we are, for the most part, building more resilient to get that water out quicker. Here's another look at sea level rise prediction. So the red line is where we are in the 2025. The black dot is about where we are at the sea level rise. Again, on that lower end of the projections. And if you were to take this out to the year 2100, we would be somewhere at about, likely, there's an 83% chance we're at or above 3 feet of sea level rise by 2100.